computer down and just use my iPad then? Is that better?
No,
You're fine the way you are right now. So if you leave it the way it is, you're good.
Okay. I'm so sorry.
And Harry, you can disappear her other part, can't you? The black screen with the Mrs. Shelton.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay. Good morning. Welcome back to LoveBabz, LoveTalk. Don't worry about all the technical glitches. You know how we do on this show. We get it right when we get it right. I'm so delighted to continue the conversation with Delta authors on tour. And today I've got Soror, Charmaine, Louise, Shelton, whose romance novel book is Captivating Desires. Is that right?
Capture My Desires.
Capture my, oh, look how she says it. Capture my desires. And I've been enjoying talking to these sorors about their literary works. So tell me, what got you into writing books? Because this is a series. You have a series.
I have 2 series.
Okay, girl.
Yes, ma'am. So I just am an avid reader. So I've been reading forever. And actually, it's funny. I wrote my first book in like elementary school. I think it was 3rd grade for Mrs. Graham or something. So it was about my family and some weirdness. But anyway, when the pandemic hit is when I really was like, well, one, I'm an independent contractor. And so I lost the job that I had, the contract. And I was writing. And I said, you know, let me just write and see what happens. So I love romance. I love glitz and glamour. I love, going to exotic places, and it just all rolled in and just started writing these sexy fantasies.
Oh, okay. So what inspired that? Like, I mean, what was the book that you read that said, you know what, I can do this?
Well, I write erotic romance. So as people like Jackie Collins, any of her Hollywood Husbands, Hollywood Wives, like any of those books, any of Zane's books, to give you a variety of aspects.
Okay, so you got a little steaminess in yours, because if you referencing Zane, there's some erotica attached to that.
So that could give you an idea of how my books work. And then so I got like the steam from like a Zane, and then the whole 50 Shades of Grey thing happened, but they're not like, I read it, I saw the books, but my characters don't have any issues of, I don't want to say mental issues, but basically they're normal. They just have a steamy sex life. And they're millionaires.
Thank God.
So I'm more multicultural in my books. It's generally the men are white, and then the women can be white, they can be Black. I have Latina. I have one woman is a model, and she's Tunisian. Her mother is Tunisian, and her father is Parisian. So I have all sorts of characters because I just like a blended type of world.
And so why are all the men white?
Well, only because it's just something that I don't know if anyone else has spoken with you about this, but a very popular genre in romance is BWWM, which means Black women, white men.
Oh, I did not know this.
Yes.
Oh, do tell, girl.
Yes. So it's something where a lot of, if you even Google it, like BWWM, that's one of the top categories for romance for Black women or women of color in general. So that it's something where I have there are characters in my book where the men, they're secondary characters, but there are some Black men secondary characters. And all of my characters, I like wealth. I like travel. And most of the things I've written about, I've done, well, let's not say the sexy part, but the parts of the travel and the clothing and things like that. So that's why it's a popular genre, and I enjoy it.
Okay. So how do you, now, are you married to someone white? Do you have a white boyfriend? So
no, I'm actually single. There's no ring on it yet. Beyonce skipped me, so I got to get a ring on this one.
so you write purely from your own imagination.
Yes.
No
absolutely.
personal reference.
No. Oh,
Okay.
other than the travel, like, have I been on a multi-million, mega yacht that's 600 feet? No. But I've been to multi-million dollar villas in St. Bart's. I've been stayed in or St. Martin, or I've been to Paris. So those things, do I have a Birkin bag? Yes, I do. I had it since 2009. So it's like the things that they have, I have to a degree, but I'm not a billionaire yet.
Yet. Claim it. Put it in the universe.
Jesus, yes.
Put it in the universe. So what is it about romance novels you think that I just read a piece that women like romance novels because there's no violence in them.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no violence. And I guess that's why I love a good romance novel. I was just telling authors the other day, I just discovered Selena Montgomery, aka Stacey Abrams.
Oh, yes.
And she writes so smartly. She writes the way that I think that I am, smart and zippy and snappy. And,
yes,
I don't think I'm any of those things, but it appeals to me on a like, I grew up reading Harlequin romance, like a lot of people. They were always white. And then when I found the Black ones, I devoured them. Mm-hmm. But they always seemed a little simple-headed for me, like a little.
Yes.
So I like a smartly written romance novel.
Yes.
That makes, that's just like smart. Like she's smart and she's in charge and in control. Yes. She's not, whatever. Mm-hmm. So
I understand what you're saying.
Books. Do you take that turn, or like how do you want your women to be in these books?
They're independent women. So you'll constantly hear like the alpha male or the alpha dom, but the women are always independent women in the sense that they are smart. I am not a fan of what they call, and let me tell you something. I may have been writing for over a year and a half now, but I didn't know all the categories. So when someone said to me, new adult means someone who's just graduated in college or just graduated, so their early 20s. That's not, I'm not gonna say my age, but that's beyond, I'm not into that right now. I like women who are like me, who are independent, who are strong, who have their own companies, who make their own money. So it's always where they're not billionaires per se, but they are millionaires and they're standing their own. But they are attracted to these dominant men who just can protect them. Because it's sort of like in the sense that when you're a strong woman, at least for me, I'll admit I have submissive tendencies in this. I haven't been a sub, but I'm just saying in the sense that when you have to, and that's, I think a lot of Black women can appreciate this, because as Black women, we always have to be so strong and take care of everyone else and have not so many people necessarily taking care of us. So in a sense, when you have an alpha male or alpha dom, they will take care of their women. And you can still be that strong woman in the boardroom, but when you get into the bedroom, you're just like, oh my God, so it's sort of like a different feel. So I always have, these women who are strong, independent, smart, everyone's gone to great colleges. I went to Spelman, so I have,
woohoo!
So did you go to Spelman?
No, my sister did though.
Oh, fantastic. See, Spelman women. So it's like I'll have Spelman or I'll have someone who went to Stanford. So it's like, I have different, everyone's smart and everyone's sexy and gorgeous. But there are issues, of course, obviously, but yeah.
Okay. All right. So you've got 2 series of, tell me about each of the series. Cause I'm fascinated by people who write these series. Cause it's like a continuing story, right? Like you want to know, you fall in love with these characters. You want to know what happens to them.
That's
so
right.
You get right. I'm on the right track, right?
Absolutely right. Okay. Because for example, like this was my first book, so I don't know which camera to show it on. So here's
I see it.
Okay, so this is Fulfill My Desires, Sebastian and Lola Part 1. So I always do trilogies, and in fact, what happened was, in learning how to do this, I had started out with doing just duets because, like you, I don't like when the book ends and then so you go through all this, you get to get involved with the characters, and all of a sudden it's over. That's it. You don't know anything more. So I started out with duets, but I learned in a conference that you should do trilogies because it extends the length of the people fully, and then you do a series because they can pop up in the other books. So people who love like Sebastian and Lola will see them in Roger Leone's book. So that's my first one. Then I think I left it over there, or it might be underneath my computer to hold it up. So, because I just moved to a new apartment and I'm trying to get everything together and I don't have all my resources here. So then like here's the second book, the third book. So this is part 3. And you'll just see a trend where it's always like these men in suits. They're wearing, and again, the men are also styled after my father, who was also a clothes horse. I mean, he had Hermes silk ties and, Amanda Xenia suits. And
so he's a dandy, because I understand. He's a dandy, right? Because these men who are...
So he actually is passed in July. So it's been a bit tough for me, but...
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but he's with me. And one of my books came out on his birthday. So that was really nice. But the thing is that that's how I draw inspiration from in the books. Like I'll quote from my mom or something. But anyway, so with the series, you get to keep it going. So this was the first one. And then you have this one is Tempt My Desires, which started off with the second series. So It's Tempt My Desires, Lachlan and Haley part 1, and then there's part 2 and 3. And what happens is it's a continuation. So it's still International Inc., a billionaire's romance series. So within that series are 2 families, the Steeles and the Jacksons. So this series number 2, is Steele and Jackson combined, because the daughter from Steele married one of the Jackson sons. And he's actually, and I love royalty, so he's actually a Earl. And so it's like this whole.
I love that you focus on the things that you love, like you're like that interest you, right? Like I love that. Like you're not trying to like, oh, I have to figure this out. No, I'm gonna write about the things that I'm gonna put all the things in that I really did.
Yes, and that's what I think makes it better, because it's like I'm not making it up, although some of it is obviously is made up from creativity standpoint, but it's something either I would want to do, something I've done, something I admire, and it makes it easier for me because I write a book every 6 weeks. So I started.
Really?
Yes, my sister told me you're a prolific writer. But and because like I said, there's sexy fantasies. So these are like fantasies of mine. Do I want to be in Mauritius and on a yacht and circling around Bali? Do I want to, So it's like, do this. So what can, so like, for example, Sebastian and Lola, he's Dom. She's this woman who owns a lingerie company. I have my second company is Charmaine, Louise Intimates. So it's hand crocheted items that are cashmere and silk, and you can wear it like at home or you can wear it out. So Lola has her Lola's Coterie, which is luxury lingerie. So again, being an independent woman, she has her own multi-million-dollar company, and that's their story. So, then you have someone like a Roger who's Ignite My Desires, which is, and this is how they continue in the series. So Lola's best friend is Leonie. And so it's Roger and Leonie's story, which is Roger's Sebastian's brother. And she's the one that's the super mega model. So and I've tagged off of like the Naomi Campbell and so forth. So, it's like, that's what makes it nice to have a whole world, is that you can constantly, because it's interconnecting. So you can constantly carry over the characters. People get a hint of what's happening with them. And my readers like that. They're like, oh, what's happening? And they'll see,
So when you got into romance writing and this very specific genre of romance writing, how fast did it take you to get up to speed on the business side of things? Like, how do you get paid? How do you make your money? How do you sell books? How do you do that?
Well, my background is, without getting age, I won't give the number of years, but I will say I have an extensive history in sales and marketing. So I've done media sales, everything from print, and that's going to age myself. If I started in print, you can get an idea. So from print, I did radio, I did...
Girl, I still work in print, so...
Oh, okay. So you know. So you get it.
I do know. And I happily still work in print. That's what I mean. Yeah, I still happily work in print. Yes. Mm-hmm. So I know exactly what you mean.
I don't care what anyone says. Yes, I've done digital too. Yes, I do the ban those ads that pop up that drive people crazy on the website. Yes, that's me. But so having that background in sales and marketing has really helped me to know. So like I've created my websites and I've done them myself. I've had back in 2000, I'm dating myself. Back in the day when I started Charmaine Louise just in general, New York Inc., I had CharmaineLouise.com, so someone else did it. But for my news websites, those are done by me. So it's like, I had a friend who said to me, whenever you go to a different job, have a suitcase and you put things that you learned in that job to carry it to the next one. So it's the same thing. So all these ideas and concepts of integrated marketing or making sure that you're providing a product that people are interested in, I learned in the corporate world. And I can now apply it to myself as a writer. And I think that helps to give me a bit of a leg up, because a lot of times writers don't have that business background. They just have that creative. and you really don't know. And then having had digital sales, so I know how to run Amazon ads. I know how to do Facebook ads. I know what demographics to look for. So it's really how important your newsletter is to get your subscribers. So how you sell your books, because you want to have a base of subscribers of your own that you can always push your books to, but also give them other information. Like I highlight other authors and things like that. So I think having had that background has helped me to create my little publishing empire.
I love it. I love it. So how do you, so I would imagine that goes hand in hand with building your audience.
Yes.
So now
Yes.
I'm sure you have a dedicated following of folks who love your books and wait every 6 weeks for the next one.
Every 6 weeks. Yes, and I just had one just launched last week on the 22nd. So yes. So the thing is that I focus. So another thing, and you probably will notice this, Facebook always drops out, like Facebook has shut down for the day or Twitter has shut down. So you may have social media, but you have no use. You don't have access to those people directly. Sure, you have 1,000, 1 million people on your website. And if you were an influencer, or rather on your social media platforms, if you're an influencer, that's nice because you can say, oh yeah, I can reach this number of people. But you don't have their information. What you want to build and focus on is your newsletter because that gets you their email address. So you are constantly reaching out to these people. I do a weekly newsletter. So whether it's me talking about a new
weekly?
Mm-hmm.
Girl.
Yeah. And I do promotions. So I do these different sites that you can do promotions through to get other. So basically it's like I always do free steamy romance reads, or I do one that's steamy audiobooks, or March. This month is March. So March is for lovers. So it's where you can also do promotions, and I promote that in my newsletters too. So it's not just always my information. You don't want to keep banging yourself at people, but it's a combination of other authors and things too.
So are you a self-published?
Yes.
Are you publishing under your own publishing house?
Yes. So it's Charmaine, Louise, New York Inc. Sexy Fantasies. Once again. And so I do it through Kindle, so rather through KDP, which is Amazon's publishing arm. So it's Kindle Direct Publishing. So I do it through them. And it's interesting because a lot of people who are published through the regular traditional publishing, I have heard stories where you can try to submit your manuscript, and maybe they take it, maybe they don't. It could take a year. And with being self-published, at least through KDP, I just have to get my manuscript up by whatever date. Like say, for example, I just had this, I have a new one coming out April 5th that I'm in the middle of. And it's the third part of this last series for Intrigue My Desires. And it's due to Amazon. So the book comes out April 5th. It's due to Amazon, KDP rather, by April 1st, the manuscript. And then it goes live so it's always 4 days in advance of the publication date. So I'm able to, and then once it's even published, if I see an error, or if I see I want to change the cover, I want to add new details or links to back issues or back books, then I can always change it. And it's a matter of maybe 24 hours, 72 hours, and they update it. So that's a real freedom that you have as an independent publisher, that you have more control, you handle your marketing. There's also times and I have my own book, my backlist is mine. I don't have to wait to get out of a contract to have access to them, so that I have more of the control. The beauty of having a publishing house is because you have their marketing people. So I'm like 1 in a billion people that are out there pushing your books. But if you have, I don't know, a Harlequin or someone supporting you, they have their team that's really pushing it too. But I'd rather be in control and doing things like this that get me out there. Or
yeah, I could tell you like control. Like I can just tell that you would not turn. That's the independent woman thing, that you would not turn this over to people to tell you how to do something.
I would take advice, absolutely, because I'm always a learner. I've been a learner my entire life, and I will always learn. But as far as someone, if they said to me, you can still have access and do this, I might consider it. But I don't want someone to just take my manuscript and then they just do whatever they want, and then I don't have any more.
So now, from the success of your books, have you been approached?
No, nope. And the thing is that, again, like I'm one of a billion different people in there. So I haven't had anyone necessarily approach me to, and I haven't reached out because they don't really approach you necessarily unless you're beginning to, because like how many people, they get manuscripts. I have listened in on agents, like doing different webinars and seminars. They get thousands of people, billions of things into them. So it's unless someone who's like, I don't know, you jumped out there on your own and you hit #1 on USA Today list on your.
Well, that's what happened with the woman from 50 Shades of Grey. She wasn't shopping this book. She just was putting it out
Yeah,
there on her own, under her own speed, right?
right, exactly. And then and the thing too, if you think about it, that was so different than what anything had been before. You didn't have it where, or even if you look at with Harry Potter, you didn't have that type of a book come out because, with, without getting too much into 50 Shades, it's intense and it's so different and it made it stand out. So she came in at a time of doing that when that was so new. So it was a really good way to pick it up. But if you notice, she really hasn't done anything since. To be quite honest, it's like she has.
She listen.
But
they bought the rights. They bought the rights. Somebody bought the rights. Made 3 films out of this thing, right?
Yeah.
I think 3 films, and maybe a
Yes.
4th one is coming. I don't know. So is that a goal too, to have these books turn into
Absolutely.
films, or
Absolutely.
because there's a
Yes,
lot of
and-
platforms now to take in, like,
Yep.
traditional movies, but now you have all these streaming sites that are hungry
right.
for content.
That's right. And that is something that I'm looking to do. Like, for example, a Passion Flix has that. So Amazon has theirs. There's so many people that have their own, a Hulu or someone that you can go to. And that is something that's why I'm trying to have all my series things backed up. And that's the thing too. I want to have a good platform so that they can see that I'm someone that can bring something to the table as well as take something from the table, so. But
Oh
that
my
absolutely.
gosh. So now, do you run workshops? Like, because it sounds like you could teach other authors how to run this kind of life
Yeah.
for money, for a lot of money.
Yeah, and that's something. That is something. If you notice, a lot of authors have done that, where they still do their books and then they have these on the side because it makes you a lot more money. But the thing is that I've been so busy with building this. Like I said, since June of 2019, 2020, I've been doing a book every 6 weeks. So I haven't really had any time other than promoting my own marketing to do anything. So after this book comes out, that's April 5th, I'm going to push back my schedule to 2 months. So then I can begin to add in other things to do. Like I've heard people tell me, you don't have a life necessarily because if you're pushing out that many books at a time. So,
I mean, that it does seem like a lot.
It's a lot. And my books are short.
And you just sound like you have so much knowledge that I could see you running your own conferences, your own workshops, getting not young people, any people in to sort of talk, because everybody's always asking how do I do this? How do I do this? And you've got some unique qualifications around your background that would make you perfect to build an empire.
Yes, no, it's true. Absolutely. And thank you for acknowledging that, because it's true. That is something that I would love to do, especially for women of color, because I've gone to different webinars and things, and again, being in the background of business that I've been in, I'm usually like the only Black person in the room. So it's the same thing with this, in that the conferences that I've attended have really not been a lot of in lead positions of doing a webinar and seminar, not been a lot of people who are of color. So that would be something that I would love to do. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you would be good at it. I think you and a couple of other good seasoned romance authors, particularly of color, of color, not particularly, but of color. Well, I think it would make a huge impact, because I don't know if anybody is doing this. Like, I don't know, it's hard enough to find romance novels of color as it is.
Right.
So to find all the support around it is even harder. So, so do you feel like a pioneer?
I do, in the sense that, like, I go back to what you mentioned earlier about books, when sometimes you read a book of a woman of color, and I've read a lot of Black authors who have romance novels. And sometimes, to me, the people can either be the women may not be as necessarily intelligent, or they may be the scenario of like a surrogate woman for a billionaire having triplet. It's so kind of not me. And I think that it helps for people to see themselves in a position where you may only see a white couple, or you may only see a white woman who's being treated so extravagantly. I mean, these men are giving these women and each of my books is like 3 women that are Black and so far, and have more planned, or half Black, and that they're giving them jewels from Van Cleef and Arpels. They're giving them, you know, the world basically.
This is my kind of book.
Absolutely, you know, it's a sexy fantasy. So it's like, how often do you see where Black women are just giving such love and respect, and just being able to have that powerful life of their own independently? So I think that's also the difference, how I see myself as a pioneer, because I like to say it's a combination of, if you read Jackie Collins, it's always this glitz, it's this glamour, and it has the steam. But if you read like Zane, she has definitely the sizzle and the steam. So it's that combination of giving you the best of both worlds. And I love Zane. I'm not Zane's books, I'm not referring to Zane's books and talking about surrogate moms and stuff, but rather that you can see, here's an example. When I go to do my marketing and I have to find images, whenever I need to find, because some couples are Black, some couples are white on white. And it's easy to find a white couple, they're hugged up. She has on lingerie or barely anything. He has a belly, he's bare chested. But when you look for the Black couple, they always have on fully clothed. And there's always these smiles as they're hugging and kissing, whereas they're like, oh my God, my lover. And it's just, so even with the media, like the media that's available to you, it doesn't show that Black love where it's like, or the woman may be, if it's a Black woman with a white man, it's just, they just look weird. And it's just not, so you don't even have that there. So it makes it difficult to try to find images that portray how you want your characters to look. So that shows you how the dearth of having that Black woman love in that type of a level of extravagance is not there.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I just love this conversation. We have I got like a hot second left. What is the ultimate biggest dream goal for you around what you're doing? What's the big dream?
The big dream would be to mimic 50 Shades, because she made like on her own $300 million in the book.
Oh my God, I need to get a pen and paper out and start writing. Why am I doing?
Movies are like 500 million. So I would love to have my series made into movies, and to have that those big sales. Like I'm working on getting on some of the bestseller lists for next year, because it takes like a year to do them. So hopefully by this time next year, I'll have my letters, as they call them. But that's it. That would be it, to have the ability to fully just immerse myself as a writer and to make a whole lot of money, but also it's something that I love. And having done decades of corporate work, which I think is fine, this is so much different. So my dream would be to have the ability to just solely focus on my books, even with my intimates, which is lingerie and loungewear, all of that, just my company that I've had for years, and just to be able to take all the work that I've done making millions for other people, make millions for myself. That's the ultimate dream.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much, Soror, Charmaine, Louise, Shelton. I enjoyed this conversation so much. I can't wait to get my hands on all your books.
Yes, I will send those to you.
I'm going to get my hands on all those books, girl, and that's going to be my hot girl summer read.
Hey, get your fan ready.
I'm going to sit on my porch with my good mint julep or something, and we're going to go in.
Yes, absolutely.
Woo. Well, I hope you're enjoying the tour. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.
And I look forward to, I get to interact with you a little bit more moving forward as we get through this Delta Authors on Tour. So
yes, thank you so much for having me, Soror. I greatly appreciate it.
Oh no, it's my absolute pleasure, and you'll love this conversation when you go back and listen to it and watch it again. So
absolutely.
Enjoy your day.
Thank you. You
so
too.
much. All right, Harry, we're on our way out. I will be back tomorrow. I'm taking a break from the Delta Authors on Tour, but the last set of Sorors is on Friday, 10:15. And I have enjoyed this very much. I'll see you all tomorrow.